Hello everyone, this is David, Fairly Secret Music. Recently I bought a bunch of Blind Guardian albums and um, Redemption albums. I don't consider Redemption a power metal band, but I do consider Blind Guardian a power metal band. Uh, I decided to delve a little bit back into some other things because there was a store that had a bunch of used power metal that came in a little while back, and I was not in the mood for power metal back then, but kind of am now. So I know I'm definitely in the mood for Blind Guardian, but I decided to check out some other bands that they had used. Um, so the first one is Sabaton, Darcy, Six Strings Nine Live. He showed this same album. This is Carolus Rex, and this is not what your typical power metal sounds like, really. Um, he has a lower voice, not. Um, he actually has a lower voice, and you can hear his accent in there quite a bit. But he doesn't have a voice like the guy from Gravedigger. I did have Gravedigger stuff before, but I sold it, and I kind of regret selling it. But a lot of their stuff, they're kind of like the AC/DC of power metal. One album sounds exactly like everything else and stuff like that. But Sabaton, I wish I would have gotten into this power metal stuff a little earlier because there were more Sabaton used CDs in this big buy that the one store in my area had. They had a huge buy of power metal, and I was able to look through all of it like months ago. But things have sold. So, if you are curious on this band, The Lion from the North is the key song to listen to on this album. There's a version that has a different cover. That's a 2-disc version that comes with the whole album sung in whatever the native language of the band is. I can't remember where they're from. This other band is Mind Key. Mind Key are a band on Frontiers Records. I believe Derek Sherinian and Thomas. Oh gosh, what's his name? Thomas something. Thomas E. England and Derek Sherinian and Reb Beach do guest appearances on here. This band has a singer who is almost, it almost sounds more like he would fit like a Whitesnake style band, but the music is definitely in the power metal vein. And I almost passed on this, but I just kept on going back to it and listening to it. So I decided, yeah, I'll give it a shot. So this album is called Pulse for a Graveheart, and the band is called Mind Key. And the song that kind of kept on pulling me back in is called Citizen of Greed, if you want to check out to see what they sound like or what song kind of pulled me in. And the last band is a band that I already had one album from, who will show up later in this video, is Labyrinth, and this is Sons of Thunder. This band has relations to Rhapsody. I know 2 of the guys in Labyrinth are also in a band called, let me find out. I know one of these guys. Oh, Vision Divine. Yeah, so Vision Divine. And I believe it's with the singer Fabio Leone, who sang with Rhapsody, also known as Luca Torelli's Rhapsody, and Rhapsody of Fire. that's the kind of power metal that I really don't dig. This is almost verging on it. I just really like the album, the previous album to this one, so I thought, this was only $4.95, so I'd give it a shot. So that is the three that I bought today, and I thought we'd, maybe go over what makes a band a power metal band. And I looked up a bunch of stuff, and on Wikipedia, I found a list of power metal bands on Wikipedia. And, the definition of power metal is it's a subgenre of heavy metal combining characteristics of traditional heavy metal with speed metal, often within symphonic context. Generally, the metal is characterized by faster, lighter, more uplifting sound. So, you have the American power metal, you have like the European, especially like German power metal and stuff from Italy. And apparently there's Japanese power metal. I've heard a couple bands, but and most of the time the vocals are people that sound like the wah kind of stuff, and after a while that kind of gets boring to me these days. When I was younger, I loved that stuff. I could not get enough of it. But so I'm going to go over the albums or the bands, not all the albums, because I figured that stack would be huge, that were listed in the Wikipedia list of power metal bands, and say whether or not I think they belong in that genre. First one is Accept. Believe it or not, this is the only Accept that I have. I have had Balls to the Wall on cassette way back in the day. I also had Eat the Heat, I think, on cassette. That's the one without Udo, and Udo's first album. I love this album, Metal Heart, because it has a song called Midnight Mover on it. Basically, that's the only thing I got this for. I don't even remember listening to much more of this. But, are they a power metal band? I don't... Oh, this actually has lyrics. I didn't think it had lyrics. I hate putting this up because then I turn orange. It's weird. Blue makes this phone turn orange. Watch, if I take it away, I go back to normal color. But Accept, songs like Fast as a Shark had kind of like hints of what we would call power metal, but like Midnight Mover, or Balls to the Wall, I kind of put Accept more in the AC/DC camp, and I would never consider AC/DC a power metal band. So, Armored Saint, I definitely wouldn't put Symbol of Salvation in the power metal vein, but you could say their earlier stuff, like Saints Will Conquer, Raising Fear. Did they have Delirious Nomad too? Or their first album, I can't remember what that's called. That might be Saints Will Conquer. That's definitely power metal, so I understand why they would be lumped into the power metal thing, and they're called Armored Saint. Come on. By this time, by Symbol of Salvation, I don't think they're quite as much in that power metal vein, but it's interesting that this is the only Armored Saint album that I have, and it's the 3-disc version that comes with a huge interview that goes on. They needed to add a 3rd disc so they could have the rest of the interview. Crimson Glory. Now, this album, definitely, look at those masks. They were so ridiculous. This is definitely in the power metal vein. Lots of dragon imagery, knights and things. Like, what are the songs called? Valhalla, Dragon Lady, Heart of Steel, Queen of the Masquerade, Angels of War. So yeah, this one I can understand being lumped into power metal, but by the time they got to Transcendence, I don't think they were really all that like kind of power metal, but power metal in the same vein as or not the same vein, in the same way of saying that Queensryche the Warning is power metal, which I don't think I grabbed here. RJD, Ronnie James Dio. I don't think Ronnie Dio. I don't think Dio is power metal. I wouldn't consider him power metal. I'd consider him more of the classic hard rock. Just because I think of Dio, I think of Rainbow, I think of Black Sabbath, and I think Dio's solo stuff is kind of more an extension of like those two bands that he was in, just kind of refining things. So no, I don't think Dio. Holy crap. This is a band from Italy, or at least I think they're from Italy, called Domine. So when I was in my power metal obsession a few years ago, also known as 12 years ago, I got all the Domine CDs, and there is a crazy theme on every one of their albums. See this guy? His name is Elric from Michael Moorcock's Eternal Champion series. He's on both of those covers. There he is again. There he is yet again. And he's laying down right there. So they have Elric on every one of their album covers. And this is my favorite one. This is called the Emperor of the Black Runes, I think. Yep, Emperor of the Black Runes. This has a fantastic song on it called Battle Gods. So it kicks off with Battle Gods, and then it goes Ariok, the Chaos Star, and the Aquilonia Suite. Holy crap! I need to take the booklet out so you can see that. So Aquilonia Suite, and that I believe is all based on Conan the Barbarian. I think there is a song on one of the other albums about Dune. Let's see. Most of their albums have songs dealing with Conan, Elric, or Dune, or some kind of fantasy thing, but they're obsessed with Elric, which is cool. Their singer, Morby, look at this guy. That's the singer. I don't know if you can get that focused. But he has a very interesting voice. You can kind of tell he's got an accent. Oh, I love this guy. Nothing says power metal like those bracelets. So listen to Battle Gods or Ariok, the Chaos Star, if you are interested in hearing what this band sounds like. And the thing with power metal is there has to be something unique about either the music or, more importantly, the singer's voice, to me at least, because I think a lot of power metal bands all sound exactly the same, especially the faster they get. Then Um, this band, I think I've shown it before, Doom Sword. This is called Resound the Bell. They were listed in that power metal list, but I would consider them more of a doom band or Viking metal than a power metal band. If you listen to this album, you'll kind of understand, or even one song off of it. I don't think I even have to talk about Halloween. Halloween are all about power metal. Nosferatu by Hellstar. I think I would consider earlier things like Distant Thunder a power metal band. But I don't know about Nosferatu. It is. It's kind of like straddling that thing, but it's dealing with a horror element of Dracula rather than sword and sorcery and stuff like that. But there is a song on here where they sample David Lynch's Dune, and I always thought that was cool. But this is the best album by them. I would think of these guys almost more in that Queensryche, Fate's Warning kind of prog. Not prog, but more thrash metal than Hellstar, than power metal. This is the only album by Iced Earth that I own, and I may have to change that, but I don't like Ripper Owens. I'll be fine. Criticize that all you want. I'm not a big Ripper Owens fan, but I am a huge fan of, well, not a huge fan, but a fan of Matt Barlow, especially on this album. I'm thinking about getting all the Matt Barlow things. Matt Barlow is basically the Paul Stanley of power metal, and his voice is fantastic. Sometimes I think John Schaefer isn't the best at giving me catchy things that I remember. But the song Wolf off of this album is fantastic, and Richard Christie and Steve DiGiorio are on drums and bass, so that makes it even better. Iced Earth have had so many singers, it's hard to keep track, so I'd have to write down a list of which ones have Matt Barlow on it. Oh, and Demons and Wizards I don't have, but I really need those two albums. Demons and Wizards are coming here to Minnesota in August. I think it's August 29th or something like that. For a long time, or I should say up until a few days ago, Painkiller by Judas Priest was the only Judas Priest I own, but now I have Defenders of the Faith and British Steel. And I'm actually, sorry. It's like, I don't know, 2 in the morning or something like that right now. What time is it really? Oh, it's only 1 o'clock. 1 a.m. But I don't consider Judas Priest a power metal band until they did this album. This album is so metal. I mean, I always just considered them more of a hard rock band, but once they got Scott Travis in on this album, man, and the song One Shot at Glory, I love when he sings the I can hear the banners fly, or whatever he sings, I can't remember. Yeah, that's where Rob Halford totally shines. So I may need to get Firepower soon because people were raving about that last year, and I did listen to it once, and I didn't quite get what people were obsessed about, but now I'm getting a lot more interested in Judas Priest, so I haven't found it used. I might actually just have to pick it up new, but you never know. Here is the first Labyrinth CD that I had, and I love. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at all the hair. And this guy right here, doesn't he look exactly like Fabio? And his name isn't Fabio, because Fabio is the other guy in the other project. But I think his name is Ulf or something like that. Let me find out. Oh my god. Fabio right here. Right there. Right there. His name is Ulf Thorson. That is a metal name if I've ever heard one. This album kind of has a very distinct sound in every song. I mean, if you like the first song, you'll probably like all the rest. This first song on here is called Moonlight, and this album's called Return to Heaven Denied. But lots of really fast double bass. But their singer has, I think their singer's name is Rob Tyrant. This was released on Metal Blade, and I got this promo. Oh, wait, no. I had to rebuy it because I stupidly sold it. As I've said before, there are times in my life where I've sold things and I regret them. Regret those actions. So I repurchased Labyrinth Return to Heaven Denied, and he has a high voice. He is just bordering on where I'm like, yeah, you sound like everybody else. But there's just that little it factor. So the song Moonlight and New Horizons, Night of Dreams. Listen to the first three songs. It's funny because they kind of have the same drum beat throughout them, if I remember correctly. But the cool thing is, unlike a lot of power metal bands, without having listened to this in at least 6 months or a year or something like that, I already have the da 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 wa da 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 da. So a melody I haven't listened to in 6 months, and I can just pull it out of thin air. So that really speaks volumes to me that this band separated themselves. Lots of like cool melodies that are memorable. Very, very power metal. Manowar. I'm gonna be blasphemous here and say this is the only album that I actually like by Manowar. I think everything before and everything after is just, well, I will say this: the last time when I created this thought of Manowar, basically it was like 2007, 2006, and I got a bunch of Manowar stuff, and it was all just too, I don't know, too lofty, I guess. It just, took itself way too seriously, and I love Kings of Metal because this was the album that came out when me and my friend Rob totally got into Manowar. And Wheels of Fire is great. Kings of Metal is absolutely ridiculous. That song is redonkulous. It's just other bands play, Manowar kill. But I love, like, Hail and Kill and the song Blood of Kings with them referencing old songs and old albums. I think that's cool. Do I want to go back to those old albums? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I'll listen to this and go, I need some Manowar. It's 2019. The last time I listened to him was 12 years ago, really. I mean, all those other albums, I've listened to this since then. But Definitely still a power metal band, though. Nocturnal Rites. This album is super awesome. It is fantastic. The singer sounds like if James LaBrie had tons of power and was a power metal singer. This is like their 5th album or something like that, or maybe it's their 7th, seeing as this is, or 8th, seeing as it's called The Eighth Sin. But it starts so strong. Call Out to the World is great, but the song Never Again is so fantastic. If you want to check out to see what these guys sound like, his voice is awesome. He does have little hints of James LaBrie, but all the stuff that was really awesome about early James LaBrie, and none of the kind of breathy James LaBrie stuff that I don't appreciate. But yeah, this album is awesome, and it took them, let's see, how many years did it take them? So this one came out in 2007, and this one came out in 2017. 10 years to do a follow-up. I've yet to even listen to this. But this is actually one of the super highlights of this stack. Here is a band that did not start out as a power metal band. I'm ruining my CDs and stuff. And that was Riot. Until this album, Thundersteel, they were not considered a power metal band. They were just kind of like classic hard rock with a singer that looked a lot like David Coverdale, a guy named Rhett Forrester. They switched singers. They got Bobby Jarzombek on drums, and he is going crazy. Actually, Mark Edwards plays drums on a few tracks on here. Mark Edwards was in Steeler with Ron Keel and Yngwie Malmsteen, and he was in one of my favorite hair metal bands, Lion, with Cal Swan and Doug Ulrich. But this album cover sucks so much. This is one of those album covers that is crappy, but the album is awesome. And look at him. That's Jarzombek. He's not playing with Fate's Warning. Mark Real. I can't remember what the singer and the bass player's names were. Let's find out. Tony Moore on vocals and Don Van Stavern. Yeah. So, Flight, On Wings of Evil, Flight or Fall, Sign of the Crimson Storm, and Blood Street have Mark Edwards playing drums on this. And this is one of those albums that just has stayed in print for some weird reason. It's on CBS, and I think you can get this for like $7.99 new. It is fantastic. The vocals are great. The drumming is great. Everything's great on this. It's just, yeah, this was the first power metal Riot album. I've only listened to Privilege of Power, which came out after this, and I really didn't enjoy that one. But that was like, what, 1989 or 91 or something like that. This one came out in 88. So, I would be interested in hearing what that and some stuff after that. They have changed their name. I think it's Riot 5, like a Roman numeral, like a V, whatever. That's because Mark Real died, and he was the only original member still in the band. But the rest of the people are continuing on as Riot 5 or something like that. Sanctuary. This definitely is close to power metal, but I put it more in that kind of Queensryche, early Fate's Warning kind of vein. And the vocals definitely are power metal-y, but very different than what you normally would get. Warldane's voice, very, very unique. Some would say an acquired taste. The album after this, definitely not power metal, and I would not consider Nevermore a power metal band. Just like you wouldn't consider Arch Enemy a power metal band. Although, if Arch Enemy had a singer that just went wah all the time, they could easily be a power metal band. Savatage. I don't know if I consider them a power metal band. I consider them a metal band, but you know, they do have the subject matter of a power metal band. The album covers look very power metal-y, but they ended up being a little bit more symphonic after a while, especially after this album. I don't know. I'm on the fence of whether this should be considered a power metal band or not. It's a great album, though. But, you know, I don't think it should be considered a power metal band. And this is my favorite album by them, too, so I don't even think I have to talk about how power metal-y Unleash the Archers are. That woman can sing, and I'm really picky when it comes to female singers, and she is fantastic. This is the only one I have by them. I believe it's out of print, Demons of the Astro Waste. I've been looking for other albums by them, but I just haven't pulled the trigger on ordering them. I'm kind of waiting to see if I can find them just sitting in a store or used like I found this one. But yeah, really awesome. And the last band, I don't think, well, their first album, Soldiers of the Night, had a very power metal-y cover. That album had Vinnie Moore playing guitar. I think this band is more in line with the Queensryches and the Fates Warnings, or thrash, you know, like some of the more melodic thrash than anything. And this is the only Vicious Rumors that I own. This album is fantastic. And finally, at the end of it, they have like a bonus track or a hidden track that has the backwards stuff played forwards, and it says stuff like be good to your parents and stay in school and stay off drugs and stuff like that. So yeah, tell me what you think if I think something is power metal and you don't think it is, or what your favorite power metal bands are. Or maybe you have a suggestion of a power metal band that I should check out. This is the case where I wish we could listen to some samples, but we have words, you know. I've been telling you what songs to listen to on each album. By the way, if you haven't listened to this, oh gosh, Out of the Shadows, the closing track on this one is probably my favorite. It's just super power. Did I just say it's super power? Yeah, I think it's time to go to sleep now. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and if you didn't like it, shh.